In Copenhagen, on an overcast October morning, the European Political Community Summit gathered leaders from across the continent. The air in the Danish capital carried a sense of urgency. The war in Ukraine had entered a new phase, and the weapon now dominating the headlines was not a missile or a tank, but the drone, a small, relatively cheap machine that has changed the very nature of modern conflict. The summit's host, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, stepped onto the stage beside Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. The two leaders stood before the press as cameras clicked and microphones tilted forward. Their expressions conveyed the seriousness of the moment. The war's front lines may be hundreds of miles away, but the threat posed by drones was already testing the security of the entire continent. The Ukrainian president came with a direct message: Europe must move fast and think collectively. Speaking to reporters after the summit, Zelensky warned that Russia's escalating use of drones was not just a Ukrainian problem, but a European one. What he proposed was more than a new strategy. It was a new mindset. Europe, he said, should establish what he called a drone wall, a drone dome, or a rapid drone response. The terminology was flexible. The principle was not. Every nation must be able to defend itself against the airborne threat. Unfortunately, we all see that Russia is intensifying its destructive actions, Zelensky said, standing beside the Danish leader. And what matters most for Europe's security now is political will. That was the main topic today. We feel that Europeans are clearly determined to respond, and to respond properly, to the growing drone threat. Russian drones have gone too far. Dangerous incidents with Russia have also gone too far. The Ukrainian leader's words resonated because the danger is no longer hypothetical. Russian drones have struck deep inside Ukrainian cities and on several occasions have strayed near NATO borders. For Europe's leaders, that reality is sobering. It means the skies above Europe are no longer guaranteed safe. Zelensky went further, stressing that Ukraine's experience in the drone war could help Europe prepare. Our military personnel with strong drone experience are now in Denmark, and we will share their experience and expertise, he said. I hope that today's meeting will strongly support the idea of joint defence against drones. This can be called anything: the anti-drone wall, an anti-drone dome, or rapid response to drones, but the goal is the same. Every country must be protected against spy drones, against strikes, against any other type of drone. It was a message both practical and symbolic. The practical side was the call for joint technology: radars, jammers, interceptor drones. The symbolic side was the reminder that in the age of drones, national borders alone cannot guarantee security. Europe's defence would need to be as interconnected as the skies that its people share. Zelensky also addressed the situation on the battlefield back home. Today, we talked a lot about the battlefield in Ukraine, how our soldiers are stopping Russian assaults, he said. Russia had planned a lot this year, but has achieved very, very little. And that's thanks to our soldiers and to everyone who's helping us. Russia is making many mistakes, and that's why we need to increase the pressure now, so that they are forced to end the war and change their policy. This statement underscored a paradox of the war. Ukraine has been resilient and at times successful on the battlefield, yet the nature of the conflict keeps evolving. The drone, cheap and expendable, has become a tool for both sides to probe defences, strike infrastructure and exhaust each other's resources. For Ukraine to keep the upper hand, Zelensky argued, Europe needs to treat the drone threat as a shared emergency, not a distant concern. Beside him, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen reinforced this call for unity. The EPC brings together countries from all over Europe, of course, with very different opinions on many issues, she said. But all these differences are no longer so important because of the great challenge we share, the threat of Russia against Europe. And that is why our common task is as simple as it is serious. We have to be able to defend ourselves, and we have to defend the values that we believe in.
Unfortunately, we all see that Russia is stepping up its destructive actions, and what matters most for Europe's security now is political will. And that was the main topic today. We feel that Europeans are clearly determined to respond, and to respond properly to the growing drone threat. Russian drones have gone too far. Dangerous incidents with Russia have also gone too far. Denmark, drones. Our military guys with solid experience in drones are now in Denmark, and we will share their experience and their expertise. And I hope today's meeting will strongly support the idea of joint defense against drones. It can be called anything. I mean, a drone wall, a drone dome, or drone rabbit.
Her words were a pointed reminder that the European project itself is being tested. The war in Ukraine and the technologies driving it have forced Europe's leaders to think beyond national agendas and focus on collective defence. But Frederiksen did not shy away from acknowledging the political divisions within the European Union. Without naming him directly at first, she referred to Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, whose government has often resisted EU initiatives on sanctions and military aid for Ukraine. I will not allow one country, and certainly not Viktor Orbán, to make decisions on the entire European future, Frederiksen said. If compromise means that we don't do what is best for Europe, then I don't think that's a good idea. We must continue to try to find a solution and a way with Hungary. This remark signalled more than a personal disagreement. It revealed the underlying tension that Zelensky's call for a drone wall will face. Europe's unity of purpose is strong in words, but often tested in deeds. While nations on the front lines, like Poland and the Baltic states, are eager to push forward with new defence initiatives, others are wary of escalating the conflict or spending more at a time of economic uncertainty. The Copenhagen summit made clear that the drone threat is reshaping Europe's security calculations. A decade ago, drones were viewed largely as tools for reconnaissance or limited strikes, mostly used by major military powers. Now, mass-produced drones, often modified from commercial designs, can deliver explosives, evade traditional radar, and overwhelm defences through sheer numbers. Their cost is a fraction of traditional missiles, yet their impact on morale and infrastructure is profound. Experts warn that as Russia refines its drone tactics, Europe cannot rely solely on piecemeal solutions. National air defence systems built for intercepting high-altitude missiles are often ill-suited for low-flying, small-profile drones. A coordinated continent-wide network, the very thing Zelensky has been urging, could become indispensable. For Denmark, hosting Ukrainian specialists is both a gesture of solidarity and a practical step. The country has emerged as a crucial hub for training Ukrainian forces and coordinating drone-related assistance. This role highlights how smaller European states can make outsized contributions in specialized areas of modern warfare. The summit also shed light on a broader political reality. The war in Ukraine is no longer viewed as a distant regional conflict, but as a test of Europe's resilience. The call for a drone wall is as much about psychology as it is about defense hardware. It is about assuring citizens that Europe can protect itself from emerging threats, while sending a message to Moscow that technological escalation will be met with coordinated resistance. Yet the challenge is not just military or technological. It is also about timing and resources. Building such a network will require investments in research, manufacturing, deployment, and constant maintenance. It will also demand close cooperation with NATO, whose existing air defence infrastructure could be adapted to address the drone threat. The debate in Copenhagen reflected all these dimensions: urgency, cost, politics, and the shifting nature of warfare. For Zelensky, the summit was a chance to remind Europe that Ukraine's struggle is not isolated. For Frederiksen, it was an opportunity to assert that Europe's unity must be strong enough to overcome internal disagreements. For both leaders, it was a moment to align strategy with the new realities of the battlefield.
The EPC brings countries together from all over Europe, of course, with very different views on many different matters. But all these differences are not so important anymore because of the great challenge that we share, the threat from Russia against Europe. And that is why our common task is as simple as it is now serious. We have to be able to defend ourselves, and we have to defend the values that we believe in. And I will not allow one country, and I will certainly not allow Viktor Orbán to take decisions upon the entire European future. So I don't know what middle ground is, but if middle ground means that we won't do what is the best thing to do for Europe, then I don't think middle ground is a good idea. So we have to continue to try to find a solution and a way with Hungary. But no, I think we should.
As the press conference concluded, the symbolism of the scene lingered. Two leaders standing together, calling for a collective response to a shared danger. The images were broadcast across Europe, carrying a message that the skies above the continent can no longer be taken for granted. In the weeks ahead, attention will turn to how Europe acts on these pledges. Will it develop the integrated systems needed to detect and intercept hostile drones before they reach civilian targets? Will it commit the funding required to make such a wall a reality? And will it be able to maintain political unity as the conflict grinds on? For Ukraine, every delay has a cost measured in lives and territory. For Europe, hesitation could mean exposing critical infrastructure, from power grids to hospitals, to a threat that recognizes no borders. The Copenhagen summit may be remembered as a turning point, not because a final decision was made, but because leaders confronted a stark truth. The future of European security will be shaped not just by tanks and treaties, but by how quickly and effectively nations adapt to a new era of warfare. As Zelensky himself put it, the name doesn't matter, only the principle. That principle, that every country must be shielded against the drone threat, is becoming central to the continent's defence debate. The meeting closed with handshakes and measured words, but the urgency remained palpable. Outside the conference hall, Danish soldiers trained alongside Ukrainian experts in drone interception. Inside European capitals, discussions about budgets and cooperation intensified. In the end, the call for a drone wall is more than a technical proposal. It is a test of Europe's ability to act together under pressure, to combine political will, military innovation, and shared responsibility in the face of a fast-changing threat. For now, Europe's skies remain contested. The coming months will reveal whether the vision articulated in Copenhagen becomes a blueprint for action or another unfulfilled promise in a war that has already redrawn the continent's security map. And so the summit in Copenhagen leaves behind not just headlines, but a challenge to rethink how Europe defends its people in an age where danger can arrive not with a roar, but with the quiet hum of a drone. Whether this moment becomes a milestone in European unity or a missed opportunity will depend on the choices leaders make in the days ahead.
Yes, I think so.
Welcome to...
It is clear to everybody that Russia is a threat.
Unfortunately, we all see that Russia is stepping up its destructive actions, and what matters most for Europe's security now is political will. And that was the main topic today. We feel that Europeans are clearly determined to respond, and to respond properly to the growing drone threat. Russian drones have gone too far. Dangerous incidents with Russia have also gone too far. Denmark drones. Our military guys with solid experience in drones are now in Denmark, and we will share their experience and their expertise. And I hope today's meeting will strongly support the idea of joint defense against drones. It can be called anything. I mean, a drone wall, a drone dome, or drone rapid response. But the point is the same. Every country must be protected from spy strike and any other drones. And Europe. Today we talked a lot about the battlefield in Ukraine, about how our soldiers are stopping Russian assaults. And Russia planned a lot of this year, but has achieved very, very little. And this is thanks to our soldiers and to everyone who helps us. Russia is making many mistakes, and that is why we need to increase the pressure now so that they are forced to end the war and change their policy.
The EPC brings countries together from all over Europe, of course, with very different views on many different matters. But all these differences are not so important anymore because of the great challenge that we share, the threat from Russia against Europe. And that is why our common task is as simple as it is now serious. We have to be able to defend ourselves, and we have to defend the values that we believe in. And I will not allow one country, and I will certainly not allow Viktor Orban to take decisions upon the entire European future. So I don't know what middle ground is, but if middle ground means that we won't do what is the best thing to do for Europe, then I don't think middle ground is a good idea. So we have to continue to try to find a solution and a way with Hungary, but no, I think we should